it before and advise them and help them greatly. They just happen to be part of Salty Dog, and they're going to bring all of that to the forefront in developing that brand.
Absolutely.
Yeah, no, it's a very, very exciting time for, I think, both of you, because you're emerging in one sense, but you have such a wealth of background and history, um, to make it much more likely that your particular model is going to have that brand growth. That's exciting, right? And a lot of people in your position with the number of units would be terrified, not excited, like, how the hell is this going to work? And since Win has done so much of it before, that's very exciting. All right, since we are live now, John, we always start off with the update from the Titus Center. What are the students up to these days? I know it's end of term.
They are anxious. Little on the happy side, mostly on the anxious side, because today is my last class. So as soon as we're finished here, I'll be shooting over to the university, and then finals are next week. So that always tends to get their attention for sure. And then so things are moving really quickly. End of the semester, it's a wonderful time. Busy, but still a wonderful time. And we have not spoken live since we had the largest advisory board meeting in our 7-year history last Wednesday. And we had a big turnout for the responsible franchising conversation that we held. And lots of wonderful things have happened since then. One of our members decided he wants to sponsor our 6th scholarship, which we give every November. We've been giving 5 for 2 or 3 years, but now we want 10. Now we're up to 6, so that's good news. We have the largest advisory board ever in our history, and that has even increased since last week. So, yeah, things are good at the Titus Center. We're leaving in a week. Week from Sunday, we start our 2-week study tour. Begins in Budapest, then we go to Croatia, and then we go over to Greece, meeting with franchise companies, and got a dozen students traveling with me, so that will be fantastic. Good times.
And how do you pick the students to go?
They pick us. We announced that we're doing a study tour. Here's where we're going. Here's the itinerary, and here's the fee to go, and then they decide if they're going to join us.
And what, from your perspective, John, how does this then add to their, I'll say, employability as students?
Well, last time I did a study tour, the German Franchise Association said, we want to give you a fellowship, which they did. That led to that student getting a job with Body Street, based in Germany. I their resume, their CV, that they traveled on a university organized. They met sometimes they meet these international folks, like Matthias Lenner from Body Street has now spoken at the Titus Center. He, his wife, and his son, they've all spoken at the Titus Center. So, I suppose the lady who runs the Hungarian Franchise Association, very linked in with us. So is the lady in Croatia from the Franchise Association. I think that provides more opportunities to students.
So that's it, and we just finish this up. This is one of the few, it's really the only university course in which students come and learn in person about franchising.
Yes, I think that's changing now. I think at the MBA level, University of Louisville, I believe they teach in the classroom, and they may teach some undergraduate in the classroom. I don't know what Babson is doing. That might be on the classroom now too, but it was mostly they were online programs. We are the only university that I'm aware of that offers an academic distinction called a concentration, major, minor, concentration. And we offer that to our students. It is earned in the classroom, 3 academic courses and a 90-hour internship. So these kids are really well versed in franchising. I call them kids because I'm old enough to be their grandfather in most cases. So these are 20-year-olds, 19-year-olds, and yeah. So we give a concentration. I don't think anybody else awards that, but that may change too. Franchise education is alive and growing, but still, most a minuscule number of universities will teach a course in franchising. And if they do, it's probably online.
Well, hopefully some of your students will join the Salty Dog, which we'll turn to right now.
Yeah. Well, they know about Salty Dog because the Salty Dog has appeared in the franchise hot seat. Our students have been involved in that.
That's right, yeah.
Gary Ratner is one of our big supporters in our advisory board level. He was on campus last week, played in the very first Titus Center golf tournament to raise some money. And he's very visible with our students and very, very generous with his time in mentoring students.
All right, so we're here to talk about a fascinating, we were talking about this before, just before we got on air, is the non-emerging model or the non-emerging franchise that is emerging. When can you explain to the audience what I'm trying to say there about Salty Dog, why it's so different in terms of the background that you're bringing to the brand?
Absolutely. So first of all, thanks so much for having us be a part of this. We're super honored. Gary Ratner is one of my favorite people on the planet. He and I go back 30 years. So to be partners in this is pretty exciting. But we've also been partners in our former life, still our current life, which is in the Paul Mitchell school world. And so I actually have been a school owner in the cosmetology industry for 40 years, became partners with John Paul DeJoria. I'm sure you all know who he is. He's the guy in the TV commercials with that ponytail. He sold Patron tequila a few years back. So he's doing pretty good. And that's my business partner in the Paul Mitchell school world. And he and I became partners about 23 years ago. Our original goal was to open up 7 Paul Mitchell schools. We now have 110 Paul Mitchell schools around the country. Again, 22 years in that business. Very fun, sexy industry, if I can say that word. And there are
fun?
other.
Yes, you can say the word fun.
Oh, I can say that. Okay, good.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, I'm already going to get in trouble here on a college campus. So
You're right.
yeah, that's right. And I think dog grooming is a sexy business as well, and fun. It's fun. It's super fun. And so what happened was it just kind of became a beautiful transition from hairdressing, from barbering, where we have schools that teach people that skill of cutting hair. And all of a sudden it came to our awareness that people in the dog grooming industry, dog groomers, can make a ton of money. That was brought to our attention. And we were like, wait, you're making that amount of money. And so when we put that out there to our own students and our own graduates from our Paul Mitchell schools, I hesitate in saying this, but I will say it, of how many of our students, how many of our graduates, they love that skill set. They love cutting hair, but they hate people. So,
and there's probably a reverse to that. People who like their haircut and don't like the hair cutter.
Right. Oh yeah, that happens all the time. And so when all of a sudden the opportunity presented itself that, hey, maybe you can take this skill set and apply it to a different career path, i.e. Grooming dogs. So we played around with that, opened up a few locations, and just incredible success, an incredible response from our graduates and from our students that absolutely this is a viable career opportunity and a choice that many of them they want to go down that path. It's a lot of fun.
So that's when I first heard this story, I thought that's sort of weird. You know, people who were cutting hair now think that cutting dogs' hair or would be a better move. But from an economic sense, that's really makes a lot of sense because the guys that I know, like at Supercuts, their biggest problem is labor, right? People
Right.
go, for 25 cents an hour raise, they'll walk across the street and they'll walk out in the middle of their shift, right? And you go, my churn rate makes the pizzas guys look, great. I got a churn rate of 150%.
Well, Sally could tell you this. I followed Sally around the multi-unit franchise show and convention. And by the way, everybody knows Sally. I was like tagging along with this major celebrity here because they all know and love Sally. But Sally, how many of the franchisees attending that show came from the beauty industry? So it is the Supercuts, it is the Sport Clips, it is the Great Clips. Franchisee owners like, oh my gosh, this makes so much sense. I'm already in this business, so to speak. I already know how to hire, how to attract, how to retain, how to motivate hairdressers. It's going to be the same within the dog grooming business.
And they have the hard skills already, right? Because they know how to cut hair and deal with hair.
But that thing that you mentioned, Michael, that they'll go across the street for 25 cents, I would kind of debate that. If that's what the owner is thinking, that they're leaving me for 25 cents, I would say, no, they're leaving you for other reasons.
No, but they're saying it's the 25 cents.
Of course. That's what they say. Rather than taking responsibility, like, why are my people leaving me? Yeah.
Yes. Well, the guy that I was talking to, and I won't mention his name.
Not now.
Very nice.
Of course not.
Very nice guy.
Right.
Is a very large multi-unit owner of a very large, well-known brand.
Yeah.
And he has consistently said that over the years to me. And I haven't ever come back and said, well, maybe it's you that they're leaving.
Right. Maybe it's the culture that's coming down from the top.
Well, they say statistically 50% of people who quit their jobs did so to get away from the boss.
Yeah, now, do you think that should be in?
I feel like it should be higher.
It could be higher.
Realistically, people aren't always honest about why they're quitting, right?
Right.
Yeah, no, I was thinking that an owner should have that plastered on his door. 50% of the people are leaving because of you.
Oh yeah, as someone who is hired, I'm an author and I'm hired by companies to come in and talk about culture to, how can we retain our people? And sometimes I just want to close the door and say, guess what? You're the problem. To that boss, to that manager, it's because of you. Let's talk about what you need to do rather than, gosh, can you motivate my people?
I bet you that goes over real well.
Well, you know what? They're paid for my honesty. And so whether or not they hire me back, that's another story. But at least I did what I was paid to do, right?
No, that's fair. And I'm joking about it. But, as we were talking about before, is that what you guys are bringing, and we'll talk in more detail about the culture and the specifics, because people do want to hear more about those specifics. The whole industry, the whole franchising industry is facing, two problems. One is the entry-level wages are all going up. They're getting, California's 20. Soon everybody else will be up there too. And they can't afford the churn rate that they have right now at the entry level, so they can't afford to train. Well, you're in trouble now, right? And you guys have a solution that's working for you. And so that's what we want to hear about. So in the next 10 seconds, we want to hear all the secrets of the world.
Wow.
Right.
No pressure.
No pressure. You go first, Sally. So, well, why don't you lead us off and just giving us an idea about how so you go into someone who's hired you they've hired you thinking that that you're going to motivate their employees, and you tell them, look in the mirror. Okay, now they've looked in the mirror. What's next?
Well, statistically, they say that when they survey employees to rate in order of importance, income is about number 7 on the list, meaning the reason why a team member is loyal to a company, to a store, to a business. People think that it's all about the money, and statistically it's not. Even what you brought up, the idea of education, that's higher on that list, that people want to be able to grow, to learn. And so when a culture, when a company makes education a big part of who they are and what they do, then you better believe that's a reason for them to stay loyal. So maybe I could make 25 cents more across the street, but across the street, they're not training me. Across the street, I'm not growing. Across the street, I don't feel like I belong to a team there. And those are the things that are much higher on the list than income, which is not to say that how much money a person makes is not important to them. It is important, but we need to be talking about all these other reasons of why a team member would stay loyal to a company.
And Sally, how do you see implementing that high level idea at Salty Dog? What are you doing to foster that sense of I'm part of a team?
So are you talking about on the location level or at the franchisor level? I mean,
Up to
I
you.
think it comes down from the franchisor level all the way down personally. So we have a very open door policy to start with. All of our people have access to all of the leadership. If they need something, they have an idea. We're very inclusive in culture, and we like to have that creative spark with people. And if they have an idea or a way to improve things, we always want to hear it, no matter who they are.
And how did I mean, let's push a little bit on this. Okay, how do you get those suggestions, let's say from the floor up in a systemic way so that people feel they've been heard and occasionally acted upon? What does that process look like? How do you guys think about that?
If I can comment on that,
Sure.
there has to be a system for it.
Right.
Meaning everything is part of the system. It's not like, well, when I'm in the mood. It's not like, well, when I have the time. By the way, that's when I said I would go to the gym whenever I'm in the mood. I never went. And if I say that to my team members, well, I care about what you think. I care about how you feel. I care about whether or not you're happy and that you feel valued in my company. I care about those things when I have the time to. Well, then, of course, those things are never going to happen. It has to be part of the belief system. And as Sally said, it has to trickle down from the top. And as an example, we bring all of our business leaders and directors together twice a year for between 2 to 4 days. And you better believe that curriculum, and we've been doing that for 20 plus years, and you better believe the curriculum and the things that we're sharing and talking about and the speakers that we bring in to address these topics. The topics are about culture. The topics are about leadership, because if it doesn't start from the top, there's no way that it's going to trickle down to our customers. And oftentimes in some organizations, it's that leader that makes everybody feel as though they are the most important person in the organization. Sorry, as the leader of this organization, I learned a long time ago, I am the least significant individual in my corporation, in my company. And why is that? Because I'm the one who has very little to do with having daily contact with my customers. So,
yeah, I would modify that a bit. You're the least important person when it comes to that actual guest experience.
absolutely.
Right? The guest experience is all in the hands of these people that you hopefully have trained to be, I don't know if it's aware. What is that? I hate the word engaged because it just doesn't do it for me. But there's something there that they have to have. They have to care about it, and they can't be caring for the salary that they're getting.
I interviewed the president of a very popular restaurant chain with 650 locations across the country. And now again, he's the president. He said, you know what? In my 20 years here, we have never received an email, a letter from a happy customer saying, I love your restaurants because of the president. He says, we have yet to receive that letter. Why do they love our restaurants? Because of the greeter, because of the server, because of the busboy. That's why they love those restaurants. And so that's who needs to be at the top of the chain in order of importance.
Yeah, it's really reversed. You know, it's not us at the top, it's them at the top. I think one of the other things that's really important that we like to incorporate is just getting down on that level with them, in the trenches with them, and understanding what they're doing. I think that's super important. Kind of like the undercover boss, but not undercover, right? But just understanding from their perspective, what are they going through on a daily basis, and how can we help make that world a better place for them?
Can I give one recommendation, one example of how we do this? I truly believe that anytime that there's a problem in a company, that problem came up because relationships broke down. And I believe that relationships break down because there's a lack of communication. End of story. It's not like our relationships broke down because I decided to become a jerk one day. No, it's because we're not communicating.
100%.
Like I always say to people, how successful would your marriage be if you and your spouse, got together and talked things over, once a month? No, it doesn't work that way. And so it's built within our systems. And I'm not exaggerating here. Every single one of our locations has a team huddle every single day, every single day. It's not whenever we can have the time. And by the way, it lasts for 20 minutes. That's at the beginning of the day. I can tell you exactly what they talk about during those 20 minutes. I can tell you what they do not talk about. I can tell you the words that they use. I can tell you the words that they do not use. They don't stand and say, okay, who has a problem? Well, that just festers a conversation that's never going to be productive. And so even the language that they use is part of the systems that we have.
Okay. All right. So let's talk more about this team huddle. This sounds to me, as a conflict resolutionist guy, a type of collaboration, just setting the language, setting the stage. I think that's what we call it. Some of the academics call it that. So setting the stage. So tell me more about, so exactly what is the language? What are people trying to do in the team huddle?
We actually have what we call our gathering guidelines. And by the way, this is poster size hanging in every one of our locations. And those are the guidelines so that we can have a very successful 20-minute team huddle every single morning. Exactly what that looks like. So, things as simple as they sit in a circle. Because people will tell you, experts will tell you, when you're all sitting in a circle, it's going to diminish that hierarchy. It's going to diminish like, well, that's the boss and they're just lecturing to me. So that's one of the guidelines. We sit in a circle. We say there are no problems. There are opportunities. So the language that we use, hey, you guys, rather than we have a big problem around here, this place is a mess. Hey, you guys, we have a wonderful opportunity. If we could keep this place more clean, guess what? We're going to be happier. Our customers are going to be happier. So also, you have to come up with two solutions. So you can't just say, well, I have a problem. No. Okay, I have an opportunity. Okay, what are the solutions? And by the way, I learned that from my mother. My mother said, I am not the complaint department around here, child. You come back with two solutions and then we can talk. Joe,
are you taking notes on this? Joe, I only want to hear solutions from you, Joe. No more problems.
I am enthusiastically taking notes and changing my whole persona.
I doubt that, but we'll talk about that later. So you're not going to find people just off the street that can fit into that, I'll say, huddle idea. So tell me a little bit about how you're selecting then for employees that will fit, and of course owners that are going to find that collaborative group discussion helpful, or something they can do, right?
We in the very, very beginning stages, we had a lot of people come to us with a ton of money. And we weren't just looking for money. We were looking for partners. We were looking for people who really, really wanted to be a part of something that we were growing, people who actually believed in the culture. Like I remember, holding this 2-day, we called it a training, but really it was an opportunity for us to take a look at these potential franchisors, this 2-day meeting, and they'd be out in the hallway on their phone the whole time, meaning they weren't engaged. And by the way, I love that word, engaged.
Oh, I hate it. Good. This will be good.
Okay, good.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good to be here.
Yeah. No. Why do you like engaged?
Here's the reason why.
Okay.
It's because, first of all, when people are not engaged, what do we want to do? We just want to fire them. And I don't believe that you can fire your way into building a better team of people. So
I agree with that.
Now, people are engaged usually for one reason and one thing only, and that is what? A paycheck. Meaning you've engaged my time. I work 9 to 5 for one reason, and that is I have to pay my bills. But you haven't engaged my heart. You haven't engaged my passion.
Okay. So, wait a minute.
My creativity.
Okay, so now we've got a difference, right? You've got engagement in time, engagement in passion. So it's not just one concept. Okay.
Correct.
All right. So there, we'll move on and let other people. I've had my time, my philosophical analysis time. Oh, we don't put out this engagement stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, what really drives me crazy is, and this is why I hate the word, is people on social platforms always talking about engagement statistics. I'm like, oh, give it a rest. Give it a rest.
I'm with you on that one. Okay,
Yeah.
so on that we do agree, Michael.
Yeah, so
that's why I used the word enthusiastically earlier. I was actually thinking about engagement because the way Win was describing it, he was talking about people enthusiastically participating and wanting to be part of the team. That's what I took away from it.
They're enthusiastically engaged. That's what we want.
No.
We'll just combine them.
The other thing too is from one of our supplier partners from Sweden, Anders, who is the whole software is designed to get entry level employees doing their job and not enjoy doing their job, but being rewarded for the fact that they were given clear instructions, they got clear thanks for doing those things, and they have a structure to their work routine. And he hates the word engaged because he says, look, that's a word for bankers. Entry level employees just have to feel like they know what to do and they're getting straight answers, and that when they do it, there's a sense of reward for the fact they've completed a job. If they've done it well, there's, I'm not going to say a reward scheme, but they're rewarded. I know what to do. I came to work. I know how to do this. And it's not like being in high school where I was always getting a C and I didn't know why.
So what's the word that he likes then? What's the word that he uses? And by the way, I need to know, because the last thing that I want to do is to get into a debate with a bunch of college professors here. Michael, John, and Joe. I never went to college, and so I don't want to get in trouble. I was always in trouble in high school. I gotta watch myself here.
Joe was always in trouble in high school, so he's on your side.
I don't have a PhD, so I'm with you, Win. But but Michael makes a very good point about Anders' platform. What those employees get from that is the immediate gratification after going through the checkpoint routine that is part of their job, this micro part of their job amongst all the other tasks that they have to do. They get a sense of accomplishment and achievement because they got it done. They checked it all off, and it says, okay, it's okay. And he likes using the not okay and okay versions in his software platform.
All right, so I'm going to add to that as a professor. I think it's important that the Gen Zs, who are the college students today, understand and use the word engage in the way that in ways that we're talking about. Important because if they want to be what they know as engaged in whatever they do. It's the restaurants that don't know how to engage that can't attract employees for long today, at least not the Gen Zs. They're not working there. They don't want a job where they just work for the money. there has to be a greater reward. And therefore, they don't mind engaging with particularly a franchise concept, whether they're the franchisee or they're employed by franchisor or franchisee. They need to know that there's greater good to be gained by what they are doing or where they are investing their time. So this is a little different group, a lot different group than millennials. Not that too much different from recent years, because my students for a long time have said, what's really, other than getting a paycheck, what's the sense of being gone for 50, 60, 70 hours a week from my home or from the people I love the most? What's the payoff for that?
Right.
And it doesn't have to be maybe payoffs in terms of what our generation, or my generation particularly, thinks, because it's not padding the 401k necessarily. Is it making a difference in my neighborhood? Is it making a difference in my school or church community? Our students, for example, at Palm Beach Atlantic University just celebrated 55 years of the university. They just passed 4 million workship hours. They are required to do workship, which is volunteer work. We call it workship. So the graduates today are, those who are going to graduate here in May, they're looking for opportunities where money matters to them. They got to be able to survive and live. Mm-hmm. But what matters most is, where will I see this paying off? And in franchising, they see more of that than non-franchising, which is a big plus for our program. That's why it doesn't matter what their bachelor's degree, or they're getting a degree in marketing or in communications, political science, or biology. They want a payoff. Well, where are you going to get the payoff? History degree. Where are you going to get the payoff?
Right.
Teaching, but that's a tough road. That's hard to sell, teaching. So they see the opportunity to go join a franchise company that is making a dramatic change in their niche. And if they like, one of my early students, Victoria Magaldi, went with ScentHound very early. This was a student who said, I'm looking for an opportunity to work with dogs when I graduate.
Right.
And at the time, ScentHound was not a member of our advisory board, but he called out of the blue and said, do you by any chance have a graduate with a marketing degree who might want to work for ScentHound? And that was almost, I think, 5 years ago. She's now the VP of their development at ScentHound, doing.
My God, I love this story. Yeah. And I love this conversation too, because, as much as maybe somebody my age, my generation might say, oh, Gen Z, they're this, they're that, they're lazy. I see it exactly opposite of that.
Yeah,
they are the catalyst for some very important changes that are happening in the work environment.
And they're our biggest generation. So like them or not, get out of their way.
Yeah.
Yeah, my generation, we were taught to care only about the money, right? We were loyal, even if the boss was a jerk.
Yeah.
Right. We would sacrifice, compromise health, family, everything because of our job. And this generation is like, I'm not going to do that. Well, I like that idea.
Across the street for a quarter more.
But,
but for making a difference is why they're going to walk across the street, or why they're going to be attracted to Salty Dog.
Well, I also think, I think that attitude of like making a difference is insanely important, but it's also an attitude of gratitude. They want people to be grateful for them, what they're doing, the time and effort they're putting in, their blood, sweat, and tears. And I think that those small things, they're not really so small, being grateful. Like, I'll text my employees and I'll be like, thank you so much for what you did today. You're doing an awesome job. I know you're, whatever, you're working crazy hours and I appreciate you. Just those little things go a long way. In addition to it, it helps them feel like they are making a difference, which they are.
I was just going to locate Wynn's remarks about, his generation, and and also my parents' generation, they were coming out of the Depression. They grew up in the Depression, and so my father. I mean, the things that they had to do to make through the Depression are things that nobody would do today. They wouldn't even think about how to do that today. Those skills have long since gone. And that mindset is, that I have to work today or I don't eat tonight.
Right.
Right. I mean, that was real. If I don't get a job, if I don't do something, and it wasn't even a job, right? It was, if I don't make some money today,
Make 50 cents to
yeah, yeah.
them out.
So it's completely unsurprising that that would become a theme that would be passed on to their children. It's just not clear to me what the theme is getting passed on to the Gen Zs.
Change.
So,
Yeah, change, making a difference.
making a
in the world.
difference. Every generation wants to make a difference. Who's going to stand up for? I don't want to make a difference, right?
I feel like they are. I feel like they are more fearless, this generation in general. I mean, I have 3 kids, but 2 of my daughters are 21 and 20, so they're
Yeah.
kind of in that, that's their whole focus, making a difference.
My daughter wants to make a difference. My son, he enjoys working at the butcher shop.
He's making a difference.
I'll tell you how he makes a difference. We get steaks that we could have never got afforded.
Hey.
That's how he's making a difference.
He's keeping
That's
mom
nice.
and dad happy.
His stage for making a difference might be just one customer at a time. I'm
Exactly.
going to make a difference with this one customer in front of me today.
If he was focused like that, I would say that's terrific. He isn't customer focused. The whole place is not customer focused, which is a bit queer, but he enjoys cutting steaks. He enjoys the whole process of butchery, right? That's what he enjoys. And so, yeah, sure. Can I get him? I want him to run his own regenerative cow place, right? I want him into regenerative agriculture. Right. You could make a difference, James, doing that. No.
Well,
Dad.
I'm not saying that every one of my
no, of course, no.
Students, there are a lot who you scratch your head over and say, why are you doing what you're doing?
Right.
Not consistent with your generation.
Well, there has to be something said for people who are doing what they love to do.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a great lesson in itself. And,
I see young people doing that earlier. They're buying they graduate and they buy franchises, or they're immediately engaged, that wonderful word, in a good franchisor company that, like, I mentioned Centown. Or Salty Dog. Wow. I hope one of them, I don't think I've had a student do anything with Salty Dog yet, but with Gary's involvement, that probably will happen.
Well, let me tell you something. Post-pandemic, everybody talks about that massive exodus, people quitting their jobs without even knowing what their backup plan is. You know what happened to enrollment in my Paul Mitchell schools post-pandemic? Do you know what the engagement and the interest has been in Salty Dog? People are like, I pursued somebody else's dream. I went to college and I got a job there because that's what my parents expected me to do. And post-pandemic, how I looked at the pandemic, it was like God sent the entire planet to the room. Everybody go to your room, take a time out. And when you all come out, you better make better choices. And that's what people did. I'm not going back to that life. I hated that life. I'm now going to pursue my dream. I'm now going to pursue my passion. And gosh, things exploded in dog grooming. Things exploded in the beauty industry as well.
When I have a question for you. How is Salty Dog being that change for franchise owners in terms of a franchise value proposition, and for the people who work at Salty Dog for an employee value proposition? Why is Salty Dog the change and the thing that they want to be enthusiastically bought into?
Well, that was a loaded question that has about a 2-hour response, and let me try to answer that. In terms of, a lot of dog grooming, and again, I'm just, I'm not here to put anybody down, but a lot of dog grooming stores are very old school ma and pa type facilities. So maybe you guys know this. You drop off your dog, they take them into the back someplace. You pick them up 2 hours later. You have no idea what happened. Your dog comes out all skittish, like what did they do to you for the last 2 hours? And you don't get to be a part of that. You don't even know who's touching your dog and grooming them. You have no idea. For lack of a better way of explaining this, sometimes a dog groomer could be viewed as that really rough ex-con type, and so they hate people, they hate to be managed and coached, and so that's why it's hard to staff and find the talent. And so what we're trying to do is to undo all of that. Just something as simple as our facilities are very transparent, meaning it's all glass. So when a pet parent drops off their dogs, they could stand there and watch the entire process from start to finish. From bathing to grooming to finishing, they can be a part of that entire experience. And then again, the bigger conversation that I think we've been talking about all along is how the employee is treated. We try to break it down that there's 3 basic human needs. People need to feel safe, people need to feel that they belong, and people need to feel that they have a purpose. And again, I could spend hours talking about what those 3 basic human needs mean and how they translate, not just to Salty Dog, not just to Paw Mitchell Schools, but anybody who runs any type of a company where you have one employee. You better believe that one employee, that one team member needs to feel safe. They need to feel that they belong, and they need to feel that they have a purpose.
And Joan, when it told us before, is their places smell nice.
Oh, I like that.
Right?
When you walk
Yes,
in,
they do.
yeah, we actually have 2 different scents that franchisee can choose from, but most people choose the cookie scent. So you walk in and it smells like cookie, not wet dog. So
Right, which is sort of a big deal, right? If you had to work all day around smelly wet dogs, you might have a bit of an attitude. I'm not saying you would.
I think the consumers, the guests that come into the location, kind of like a nice smell too.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Yes,
Absolutely.
Yeah, no, I think that whole transition from, I bring in my dog and something happens to him and I pick him up 2 hours, that's not a good guest experience.
It's not.
Right?
No, and we're actually rolling out something even another step in our stores right now. We have this whole new concierge experience for the customer. And so they actually get text messages along the way with pictures and different things. They're like, here's what Storm, how is Storm doing right now? Storm is getting the bath. And, it's like little touch-ins to keep them connected to, because this is their baby. This is like a child to them. It's not just some dog that they're dropping off. It's their baby. So we want to keep them connected.
That's actually a good metaphor. Okay, bring your baby in for a haircut. You sit there. We're going to take him somewhere. You won't mind, will you?
Yeah, let me put your baby in the back room, and I don't get to see what happens with him. Are you kidding me? There's no way.
Yeah, and there may be a few screams. Don't worry about that. That's with babies. Babies do that.
Right.
How long is the actual cut, and how long is the wait if you've got a queue?
Well, how it works is cuts are like any person's hair, right? It's radically different depending on what's happening. And it could be anywhere from an hour to 4 hours. So that's why we utilize our concierge service, and they're getting text messages along the way. And we can actually text them and be like, hey, Storm's going to be ready in 20 minutes. You can come pick them up, that kind of thing. So the queue, we don't really keep them like in line as a queue and go, there's not like a.
Well, it's not the dogs are looking at their wristwatch either, saying, look, I've been here a half an hour. Where's my hair cutter? Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Exactly. It's not like they're sitting out in the waiting room like at a Great Clips or Sport Clips or something like that. When you normally do that and you have that, it's a little different than that. They drop off their pet. They know their pet's handled. We are sending them messages along the way so they are comfortable that their pet is being taken care of, like, walked or watered or whatever they need.
This sounds way better than the mobile dog grooming that comes to your house, because you can weave this into your routine for that day. Go do something else while your dog is reliably being taken care of. That's what it sounds like to me.
Yes, exactly.
It's a different model. Yeah, because with mobile grooming, and we love mobile grooming, and they're very, very successful companies and chains that do that. But it is a different model with a mobile grooming. Yeah, you don't have to leave your house, but you do have to stay in your home.
Yeah.
You have to stay present while your dog is being groomed, as opposed to dropping them off, running your errands, and coming back. So it's just a different model.
And our way of doing the pets as well. So the pet parent knows what's happening at all times, but it also allows us to work our time better too. So now we have a whole supply chain of how we're like working the pet through the process. It allows us to do more pets in a shorter amount of time, while the pet parent gets to go run their errands and do whatever it is they need to do. And they know their pet's fine.
Sally, let me ask you this. What is the staffing complement at a Salty Dogs? How many people do you need? How much management? What does that look like?
It really depends on the footprint of the space, but we're looking at about 6 to 8 employees total. And it will also depend if the franchisee is going to be operating in the model or operating multiple locations, because then if they have 10 locations or something like that, there's a different hierarchy and level of people that they need to hire. But as far as standard employees, 6 to 8.
Okay. So this is actually really, really similar to haircutting franchises, that if you want to be a small operator, and most of the haircutting franchises, they're almost all multiple, but some of them are enterprise multiple and some of them are 2 or 3 unit multiple. So you can do, based on what I'm hearing, you do either one of these models and you can grow into your market. Do you let people sign up for a large market?
Yeah, we do. It just depends on the candidate, right? We don't want just any franchisee or potential person to come into our brand and buy a large market and then, one, not be able to open. That's kind of important. And then 2, not to be able to support their stores. They have to have a background in understanding how to do that. So a great example would be friends over at Great Clips. They run, I don't know, 100 locations, 50 locations, whatever. Those operators, absolutely, they are very familiar and successfully doing this and keeping it going. But somebody that may not have ever run a business ever, no, they need to start with one.
You're going to say, Joe?
Okay, would I be disqualified because I've never owned a dog and still don't own a dog? I grew up in a household with a lot of allergies. We had no pets.
You'd be
Joe,
you'd be disqualified. They disqualify you because of you, not because of your pets.
No.
That's exactly right. Again, we want to hire, or we want to partner with people who do have a passion for taking care of team members. I would venture to say that absolutely that's got to be number one, because yes, the groomers are the ones who are working with the pet parent. They're the ones grooming the dogs, but who's managing those team members? It's the boss. It's the franchisor. I'm sorry, it's the franchisee owner. So you better believe we want to work with franchisees, people who do have a passion for people, for taking care of their team.
So if I had an operating partner who was unbelievably great with animals, in particular dogs, I would get in. Maybe.
Yes, well, unless you hated dogs. If you hated dogs, I would say no. I
don't hate dogs. I love dogs. I just never had one.
Yeah. I don't know, Joe. We're taking notes on this interview. I'm marking you down, buddy.
I seem to be failing my franchise interview.
I don't think so. You know what, Joe? You seem like a nice guy, and that's what my book is called.
Here it comes. Here it comes. He's gonna let me down easy.
I'm not letting you down easy.
Not for us.
I'm voting for you. You're a nice guy, and that's what we're looking for.
He's only voting for you because he knows the rest of us are blackballing you. So he can say, "Yeah, I liked you."
I have Wynn's book. I have Wynn's book, and I like that title because it exemplifies win. I like that. Win with win. That's what I'm going to do.
No,
Thank
I
you.
thought you like to be nice or else.
That's
Come
that's my
on.
book.
Are
Just
you
be
being
nice.
nice too?
Be nice. That's
Yeah.
the best advice that we give to business leaders, to franchisees. Be nice. Take care of your people.
See, Joe, you have to be nice from now on.
It is hard to work with misanthropes.
You're not nice already.
See, Win, you're marking him down now. I can tell.
Oh my, oh my, oh my.
Oh,
If Joe applies, say no.
Mike, I don't even come close to Mike. Do you know what his most favorite parody is? It's Monty Python, the Piranha Brothers, Cruel but Fair video. He sends that to people. The Cruel but Fair, and it is horribly, horribly funny, but it is really, really mean.
Okay,
And-
now I'm writing that down. Unless
Yeah,
Mike
I have to watch
Mike
that.
send it to me, but I got to see that.
Oh, it's extremely funny. The clip is like what a minute and a half, 2 minutes. It's very short.
Cool but fair. I'm gonna watch it. Okay.
The Piranha Brothers, and it's based on two famous British London criminals, the Cray brothers, and
Right.
there's a movie about the Cray brothers. It was a very good movie, but it's based on those two guys, and you got to see it. It's very good, but it's far afield from Salty Dogs.
Let's transition.
Not you.
Mike wants to transition now, please.
All right, fellas. You guys were at the multi-unit. I wanted to transition into this because, some of those great clips, some of those sport clips, those are going to be in your system. You have such a nice, because what? Because they know the business, and I'll bet their non-competes don't extend to dog grooming, right?
Correct.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, you've got a perfect pipeline. Wins in there talking to those groups at a different level all of the time, not as as soliciting offers, but as providing leadership conference and ideas. So from your point of view, Sally, you must feel really confident that you've got the beginnings of a great pipeline. You know who to talk to, and those people want to talk to you because they can see, well, I've got so many units, would be great to fit in a couple of salty dogs here, right?
Oh yeah. Well,
Right.
they're looking to expand and diversify, right?
Right.
And their natural business model, what they're used to, is a natural fit with what we do, and
Absolutely.
they just get it. I don't have
Yeah.
to explain. It's like,
Right.
they're like, get this.
Yeah.
Wow. Like, yes,
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah, and so you don't have to, you hear a lot of people talking about we're looking for multi-unit owners who want to diversify, blah, blah, blah. And you go, right, but you actually have that because you have the complement and they understand that within 2 seconds, this is the complement.
Yeah,
Right.
If I'll use the Louisville DMA as an example, Jefferson County. If you're the Sports Clips franchisee for Jefferson County, which is a terrific market, and you've got whatever the county boundaries are, but you can get from one end of the county to the other in 20 minutes.
Right.
If I can go in where I already have Sports Clips, not necessarily in the same center, but why not in some of the same centers,
Yeah.
and I can backfill, that is a compliment, not a co-brand, but it is the ultimate compliment because now I can actually utilize my same team for all the different units because the checklists are going to be so similar.
Mhm.
Including the location. Think about this. Like, there's something we're looking at, and it's called hermiting, hermit crabbing, I should say. I'm sorry, I forgot one of those words. So if there's another hair location, not necessarily, let's say there's Sport Clips owner, doesn't have to be a Sport Clips, could be something else that closed down. That's a natural transition over to a Salty Dog. And it's actually like an easier build out. They have all the things we need. We, make it salty. We rebrand it, put it in our way, but they already have the right HVAC and all that. And the franchisees they know this. So they know where these locations are. They're very intimately aware.
Yeah, because they're doing site selection for themselves.
100%.
And then if they So you ask them, okay, where are you looking at?
Hmm.
Yeah. So do you guys have a commercial tenant as a rep? Goes around looking for, tells your story to landlords, or do you
We
need that?
No, we do that. We
Yeah.
have a real estate team that I really enjoy, and it's a mix of the old school boots on the ground, doing that sort of thing, and also tech and finding out all of the information in the area. And it's not just demographics and psychographics. I mean, it gets really deep. So we
Are you
actually
using,
can
are you
see
using a third party a software platform like a Buxton or a SiteZeus or something like that?
the company, the real estate agency that we use,
Mhm.
they have that built in. And it also ties in a little bit of AI too. I really like them a lot. But it tells us like, how many dogs are in the area, but not just how many dogs. That's great because they could be backyard dogs and not getting groomed. Those are
Right.
wonderful. They're not our customer. Are they actually spending money on these dogs? And what are they doing? And we feed in our data from our current locations into this platform to help drive further locations in the future. Where is our primary location? So it's constantly building and growing, showing our, as we grow, we'll get even more data on that.
Yeah, so I mean, there's a lot to like about the whole franchise model in terms of, there's so much uncertainty that you guys have, I'll say, engineered out. You know where your employees are coming from. You know where your franchise operators are coming from. You know the sites. So now you just have to make everything work. You don't have a lot of those other uncertainties. You can see in QSR, for example, guys got 15 or 20 units and they're across 4 or 5 states. And you're going, well, how do you think your supply chain is going to give you any advantage if you're so far out like that?
Right.
And no one ever told them, right? So,
Yeah.
Perfect example. I was talking to an emerging franchisor with 8 locations. The next, and they're primarily in the Northeast. And the next 2 locations are Austin, Texas, and Orange County, California.
Why did we
what
do
could
that?
go wrong? What could go wrong there?
Why would they really do that? I don't understand.
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
How are they going to support that? I mean, I understand going to another market, but another 2 markets, radically distance, and all the other things that goes into that. It just doesn't make
Well,
sense.
I think, when you start talking about that and with an 8-unit chain, I mean, if I was maybe a 30 or 40-unit chain, very successful, opportunistic development. I'm in the Northeast and I get a call from Phoenix or I get a call from San Diego and they want to open up 1 unit. The answer is no. We're not ready to go there yet. It's nothing against you. But if it's somebody that comes to the table and say, we love this thing. We understand the economics. We will sign up for 50 locations and we will build them out. And we've already done it with another brand. Yeah, I'm going to talk to them because
Right.
that is strategic opportunism, not just opportunism for opportunism's sake.
but with the Salty Dog site selection, it's very straightforward. At one level, it's like who wants to backfill, right?
Hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and when I heard Sally describing it, it reminded me of what we did at Kitty Academy. Same thing, kids, but they have to be from the right demographic that they can pay for private childcare.
Yeah.
Right.
And they all have to be situated within a 3 to 8 minute drive time of the location. Otherwise, they won't choose you because it's not convenient for the parents' routine to drop
Right.
their kids off. They got to drive, 15 minutes in the opposite direction to where they need to go. Well, that's 15 minutes back, and then wherever they need to go after. Now they just added, 45 minutes to an hour to their morning because of dropping their kids off. They're
Right.
going to pick the most convenient to the routine. They're going to be concerned about the safety and welfare of their child, but they're going to try to balance those things.
Mm-hmm. Yep. I actually had my daughters both go to a Kitty Academy that I drove by on my way to my office every day.
I
Yeah.
built that one.
Very
The
convenient.
one in Irvine?
No, it was actually a long time ago. I lived in Fallbrook at the time, and I dropped them off at the Oceanside Academy on my way to Del Mar. So I had quite a drive, but
Yeah, we built a giant one in Irvine. It was the most expensive one we ever built because it was in Irvine and it's Orange County.
oh yeah, So that was a booming area. It really grew fast.
Oh, this thing, and we were really concerned about the pricing of the cost of it, and the owner was right. They just killed it. They were making so much. They were doing so well.
Yeah, it's a great area.
All right, we should let Win have the last comment here about sort of an overall picture about how you see you're building a culture. How do you build this so this lasts long after all of us are gone?
It's a great question. You know, I love when John Maxwell talks about how culture eats systems for lunch. Culture eats everything for lunch. And so when a
Breakfast
business,
and dinner.
yeah, when a franchise has, we have wonderful systems, we have an incredible marketing, we have all of these things in place, but they're lacking in culture. I just think that when we make that a priority, and I think maybe John, you were the one that brought it up earlier, just how people want to make a difference. You know, the fact that it's part of the curriculum for not just college, but high school students. My daughter's in sixth grade, and she is required to do volunteer work every single month as part of her curriculum and part of her training. You know, when a smart business person makes that part of how they run their business, that they're not just concerned with putting money into their own pocket, but they are also just as concerned with putting money back out into the community, back out into their neighborhoods, to do good things, whatever those causes are. Customers become loyal. 85% of consumers will switch from one brand to another brand based on whether or not that store, that business is not just a consumer, but they're also a contributor as well. And so that would be my challenge, is to, one of the best ways I know how to explain it is you can have two janitors working for the same elementary school. So they have the same job, the same responsibilities, the same hours, the same pay, the same boss. One janitor has the attitude of, these little brats make a mess around here, and it's my job to clean it up. That's what they pay me to do. And the other janitor has the attitude of, it's my privilege, it's my responsibility to create a clean learning environment for the next generation that's going to save this planet. One has a job and one has a purpose. And for any business, for any leader to consider that, create a place where people feel like they are making a difference, where they have a purpose for showing up to work every single day. That's what we mean by a culture.
That's excellent. I even agree with that.
Good for you. We're glad that you were here to do that, Mike. I mean, I don't know what we would do without that. But what I heard you say there with the two janitor comparison, one was Ritz-Carlton and one was Motel 6. And that is the difference. And the Ritz-Carlton way is well known, and you don't get that without culture. Not that there aren't some good Motel 6s. There's just not as many opportunities to display that kind of culture.
Right.
Very good. Thanks very much, everybody. It's terrific.
Thank you so much. What a pleasure. You guys are great.
Thank you guys.
It was a lot of
See,
fun.
college professors aren't so boring after all. I like them. I like college professors.
Well, it's always good to antagonize them.
Yes.
That's the best part.
Come to campus and visit us whenever you want.
There you go.
I look
Thanks,
forward to
guys.
that. Thank you.